So with this video, I wanted to take an old hand drill that I got with several other tools in a toolbox. I bought it at Deseret Industries here in my area, and this was one of the several hand drills that were in the toolbox. Looking at it here, you can see that it was rusted very badly. It had lots of surface rust. Paint was missing on the gear, and there was rust all in the body. You can also see that it was difficult to move, and the handles were also drying out. So to start out with, I just lubed up some of the gears in hopes that that would make it easier. I hadn't tried removing anything at this point, but wanted to do what I could to break up the rust. Now, taking apart the drill was actually quite easy. These screws here came out just fine without much issue. Gears popped off, and the wooden handles popped off. The next part was a little more difficult. The end here was rusted. I tried a few things before I hit it a couple times, and that seemed to break up the rust just enough to be able to unscrew it. Here, this pin also, I tried pushing it out, hammering it out actually, and it just wasn't moving, so I decided to drill it out and replace it with a new pin. The second pin holding this gear came out a little easier than the other one. It took a bit of pounding before it finally started to move down. Then I needed to get a nail actually so that it went in. My punch didn't go deep enough, and it was tapered, so I used a nail to get it out. This was nice because I was able to save that pin so I could reuse it. Now to pull this bolt out, it took a bit of trying when I finally decided to do it this way, reattaching the end of the drill in and then just hammering it out, and it came out just fine that way. But I was trying to pull it out before or try to pry it out, and that wasn't working. Here I just used some paint stripper, enamel paint stripper. I applied it and left it for a few hours and came back later to scrub it off. First I used an old toothbrush to kind of scrub it off, and this worked okay to really kind of clean it up, but it was then rinsing it off with water that I was able to get it all cleaned up in the end. I then put the parts in for 2 hours in some Evapo-Rust, and this worked great. You can see already that the gear after the paint stripper, it cleaned it up quite a bit, cleaned up a lot of the rust. The other parts, the small gears and things, were a lot worse. It cleaned it up really good though. There wasn't a lot of surface rust after that. I just needed to dry it off, and I brushed it off with a brass wire brush, and that cleaned it up really well. You can see just from the soak how much rust is gone off of that part of the drill. For painting, I just masked off a few of the places where I didn't want paint on the gear and the body of the drill, and here I'm applying the first coat of paint. I ended up doing 2 coats. I plan on using this drill, and it's not just going to be a decoration in my shop. I like using hand tools, so I'm just doing enough to make it practical. I then also sanded off the wood handles and knobs. I sanded it with the 220 grit just to kind of take off some of the old patina and then just coated them in a single coat of boiled linseed oil. As I use it, I will apply a few more, and we should be able to get a nice boiled linseed oil finish on it in the end. I like the look of the old wear from the previous stain on there. I think it looks good, and I think with a few more coats of linseed oil it'll look great. I applied, in reassembling it, just a little bit of grease to the sections that rub inside on the metal internals. This drill is quite easy to reassemble. You can't see it very well here, but I created a new pin from a nail, and it pounded in just fine. I measured it, and I actually didn't show this on camera, but I had to drill out that hole slightly more to fit a bigger pin. From drilling it out previously, it left kind of an odd size and wasn't perfectly straight, so drilling it out with a slightly larger hole and one that fit the pin that I had made it a nice tight fit. Here I'm returning the second pin that I was able to save in the deconstruction. One of the areas that I didn't have a chance to really get into, it was difficult and I didn't see an easy way to disassemble, was the clamps in the head of the drill, the jaws that adjust as you screw it in and out of that center shaft. I think soaking it in the evaporust was good, but it would have been nice to be able to clean those up a little better. I didn't want to get them out and not know how to get them back in, so I was hoping that that was sufficient. I did exercise them a bit, not shown in the video here, of screwing the drive shaft in and out to move them, and I was able to clean up the end a bit, but not the inside. But it seemed to be working just fine. I think the evaporust made a big difference. This was a nice, quick, and easy restoration. I really like how it turned out. It was a fun little project to do on a Saturday afternoon. I hope you like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Tell me what you guys think of my restoration, and be free to share any restorations that you guys have done also in the comments below. Thank you. And don't forget to look for opportunities to give old tools new life. I love being able to take these old tools and bring them back to life. It's fun to see, fun to do, and fun to have these tools. They mean more when you've done that yourself.